extremely geeky. It's like so tailor-made just for the pure geeks out there. We're going to literally talk about geek news, old kung fu films, literally a YouTube channel dedicated to old cartoon shows and toys, and then comic books. A niche comic book that
very niche
no one really knows.
Too, that no people don't know. We really figured out the best way to target a very specific, very small demographic.
Our friends who don't even watch what we watch too, so it's like not even
it's not even relevant to them.
Yeah.
You know what? But they need to learn. Like, that's the best part of our podcast. They learn stuff from us, and that's what I like about it. Well, why don't you?
Our podcast feels like we're the quiet kid in class that no one knows anything about, but then they just let the day go on and they live their own lives separate to the quiet kid.
Warren, what do you think we would look like if we fused together? Patara or fusion dance?
Like right now, or like if we had a spawn, a child?
No. I mean, like, I have straight Dragon Ball. Like, you and I learn the dance. We go through it.
Yeah.
What do you think is our Warjeedin?
Yeah. So I think Warjeedin.
Dillon. No, Dill.
Dillon still works.
Yeah, Dillon.
Dillaron. Dillaron.
Waron still works too, Dillon.
I think if we did the fusion dance, what would it look like? I think we'd have your size, which with really long hair. So it'd be like almost if you went Super Saiyan 3, but just have black hair. And then
maybe like an auburn though, because I'm
red.
Auburn. Yeah.
Yes. So it'd be a nice auburn. So it'd be a towering figure with long auburn hair, and I think the beard would be would have a mustache of red and then black hair, but the sides would be the auburn. That's where you see the mix. Yeah,
I like it. You know what? If we ever have a fan who's good at art, please draw that for us. We would love it. That would be amazing.
We should ask out. One of the guys on Instagram commented, being like, "Reach out to me for fan work." So maybe we could hire him.
Oh, we did? I didn't see that comment. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you bring us into this show then? Let's do this intro, baby.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is Pop Culture Party People. I'm one of your humble hosts, Warren Chao.
I am Dillon Birdsall. And we are here to talk about all things pop culture because we, as we've said many times before now, we're the only pop culture podcast on the internet. Like, we're here, and
we're your one source for all things pop culture. And buckle up, because today we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
we were given
so much episode.
Big time. I mean, in a matter of a week, we were giving so many geek level pop culture news. To rattle them off real quick, just so you have an idea. Here's your syllabus, class, for things we're going to talk about today.
Teacher, quick question.
Yes,
will it be geeky?
Extremely. Borderline
fantastic.
Nerdy. So the cast of Obi-Wan Kenobi has been confirmed. We're going to talk about how the new trailer and the 5th season of Rick and Morty has been announced and shown to us. We're going to talk about how Invincible has now premiered with 3 episodes on Amazon. And is there anything else?
Let's not forget that Suicide Squad just dropped a brand new trailer and a whole slew of new information about the big bad that is in the film. And actually, I think that's where I want to start, because I think that was probably the biggest pop culture news of the week, right? Like, Suicide Squad has been long anticipated. Obviously, James Gunn of Guardians of the Galaxy fame is helming his new vision for Suicide Squad, which kind of needed to happen because the original Suicide Squad was
hot trash. Yes, it was really bad. There's so much weight to this movie of being like, you have to not only cleanse what went wrong the first time around, but you have to get it so perfectly good, so perfect that you saved the DC cinematic universe.
Well, I don't think there's any saving the DC cinematic universe. No Snyder cut, no James Gunn cut is gonna fix it. I admittedly think that movies like Joker and hopefully the Batman with Robert Pattinson, which looks very promising, I think that those movies have a chance to at least take us away from the stains of the past. But I don't know, man.
I think it does kind of fix it, though. If you have all these separate movies, separate from the DC quote-unquote universe, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if DC's allowed to play around with their own worlds and do their own things, I think it leaves it room for them for longevity. I think there's going to be Marvel fatigue when you're constantly building towards this grandiose story, whereas DC's like, oh, if you have an idea, go ahead and do it. And then if we want to tie things together later on, we can do that, but
I
just
do
have
agree
your
with
own
that.
fun.
I always think DC's biggest strength is their, like, I always loved Elseworlds as a kid.
Mhm.
Like, that was always the coolest. Yeah, who doesn't want to see Superman land in Russia instead of
Yeah.
Kansas? Right?
Right.
Like, that's a fucking
Right.
cool story. And I'm always
Mhm.
glad when DC has kind of had the balls to do that. Like, not to say that Marvel doesn't do that, but none of the Marvel, like, Elseworld, quote unquote, oh shit, quote unquote, Elseworlds, have ever been as prolific as
Right.
the DC Elseworlds.
Right.
But I mean, I love James Gunn. I mean, I've been a huge fan of James Gunn since Slither. Like, I mean,
Yes.
such a fun horror mind, and obviously has grown tremendously as a director, and clearly knows how to tell a story of multiple people, right? And that's what Suicide
Yes.
Squad is. It's like a cast of fucking how many? It's huge.
I mean, let's trace James Gunn back to Dawn of the Dead. He wrote that script. I mean, that movie that launched Zack Snyder's career is not possible without James Gunn. I mean, the guy
true.
is so good
Yeah.
at taking collection of different people who don't belong together and making it work as a cohesive team. And that's literally what Suicide Squad is about. It's a team of ragtag villains who come together to do impossible tasks.
Yeah, no, I can't think of a better director for it, and he wrote it as well. So it's like,
Mhm.
if they are going to save the Suicide Squad, right? Fucking Warner did the right thing.
Yes.
They picked a
Yes.
director with a proven track record,
Mhm.
really knows how to handle large crowds of people. Like, you know, just a cat. Sometimes when you get your cast too big, and I think the Russo brothers did this marvelously as well in
Yes.
Avengers. Like, at a certain point, you could just be like, what the fuck is happening? What's going on? Where is
Right.
everyone? This is weird. I don't like this. And I'm excited to see his interpretation of it, and I'm also excited, like, Idris Elba. It's who doesn't love seeing that dude and stuff.
Right.
It's going to be
Right.
fun to see King Shark. Although
Yes.
I wish they made him I actually think that the design that's in the like Supergirl TV show was a little bit better. He's a little more buff. He went to the
they've
gym
given
a
him
little
a
bit
dad
more.
bod.
Yeah. King Shark in this one, yeah, he kind of let himself go a little bit. He got
So
that,
then what-
he got that Corona 20.
Right, for sure. Which is relatable and kind of fun. So did you not like Fat Thor? Because I think having the superhero don these fat bodies or these dad bods, I kind of like it. It lends to the humor of it.
Well, let it be said that I am all for fat inclusion anywhere. If you can't see what I look like, audience, let me
Well,
just
then
say,
go to our YouTube,
yeah.
first of all. Thank you for listening to our podcast. But
Yeah.
we do have a YouTube
Yeah.
you can check us out on.
Make sure that you check us out, all the birds. You know, that's
Yes.
my handle. But I am not a petite man. I am the antithesis of that. So, yeah, I am all for the idea of showing more diverse bodies and stuff like that. But I mean, it's a shark. It's always moving. You know, you think of all the animals in the animal kingdom. That one would be in shape, right? It
Yeah.
like literally
Yeah.
can't stop moving, or it will die.
Yeah, it'd be funny if like the apex predator being mixed with human genes made him unhealthy. It's like, in
Oh, yeah.
fact, you tied me to a human and now I'm
Yeah.
fat and
Yeah,
useless.
we mixed you with a shark and a guy from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Shit.
Ah, damn it. Could have been anyone else.
Yeah.
I'm looking very much am I looking forward to this movie. I think it has the humor that is just necessary. And I think this Suicide Squad it benefits from having the Harley Quinn animated TV show, and it has kind of like the audience that already kind of wants that sense of humor tied into it, and the audience already knows these characters, so they don't have to spend that much time introducing them. It's really so much now like, can you show the humor? Can you show them work as a team? And can everyone shine without being forced to be like, now is this time that this character needs this time to shine, and this character? It's more so just let them loose and have a good time.
No, I definitely agree with that. I am cautiously optimistic. Like, I mean, I've been burned by DC so many times in the past. But the idea that, like, Kite Man's going to be in it and Polka Dot Man, like, all of these, like, patentedly ridiculous superheroes that,
Yes.
like, you never in a million years thought they would make it on screen. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's cool. I'm happy for that. Like, I can't wait to see that. And I do love Starro, actually. I think Starro is a really good villain. Like, if you ever watched the animated TV series, he had some very good episodes where he tricks Superman. It's fun, good shit. I like Starro. I like Starro a bit.
For those who are unfamiliar with Star, what that is, that's the quick clip you see towards the end of the trailer, and they're saying they have a kaiju. It's a giant alien starfish-looking creature.
Yeah, doesn't look very threatening, but he is.
But he's
a lot of telepathic abilities.
Yes.
Mind control. Good stuff. It's good shit.
Yes.
Speaking of good shit, new Rick and Morty trailer fucking dropped today.
Yes, it sure did.
We actually haven't talked about this too much just as people. Are you a huge Rick and Morty fan?
I'm an incredibly huge Rick and Morty fan. My comedy lends to genre stuff. You know, like I'm almost boring in a pitch meeting, so I'm just kind of like, all right, what if we do like COVID, but we're in an action movie? Like, all right, Warren, well, what else you got? Okay, like what if it's COVID, but it's a rom-com? All right, Warren, like, is there anything not related to a movie genre? No. So Rick and Morty, I eat it up. They do the blend of this really cynical, fun genre bits. The whole heist episode of last season just burned heist movies all together so wonderfully. It was just so hilarious.
Yeah, I have to say, short of the Szechuan sauce incident, which was, really super fucking annoying, and don't do that again, people. I am, like, constantly shocked by how good the writing is on that show. Like, it's just such a testament to Dan Harmon.
Yep.
And, of course, Justin Roiland. And honestly, Rob Schraub writes it as well. Another one of my favorite comic book writers who wrote Scud the Disposable Assassin, which if you've never read is maybe that'll be a recommendation somewhere down the line. I love that comic. Yeah. There is such a level of intelligence when watching Rick and Morty. Like, I never thought a dick joke could be so expertly crafted. And they do it like all the time. And yeah, like, I love their level of like knowledge and commitment to genre stuff, like you're talking about. Yeah, like that heist episode is literally a blueprint of every heist movie you've ever seen, executed in a satirical and intelligent way. It's wonderful. It's beautiful, and it looks like that this season's shaping up to be as well. There's allusions to Power Rangers and a mech scene. There's allusions to like Aquaman. There's allusions to some other like domination stuff where he's wearing like leather daddy suit, and
there's the most dangerous game thing. It's so amazing. That heist episode made the viewer Morty of being like, oh man, I should write my own heist movie, or I want to do a heist movie. I want to be in a heist. I want to rob a bank. By the end of it, you're like, this is dumb. This is so dumb. It's like everything's a Deus Ex Machina to make it work. I
don't think that's dumb though, because like Great Pretender did it so well, like, and also like Oceans does it so well. Like those movies, I will admit maybe they're not the deepest thing in the world, but goddamn, they are fun to watch.
They're fun. They're fun for a time. Yeah, I didn't finish Great Pretenders, so I think Rick and Morty ruined heist movies for me. Like there's a new one.
Heist films for you.
Yeah. There's a new one with Jason Statham on Netflix. I'm like, I can't watch it. I just can't watch it. I don't care. I care. Yeah. I forget what I was going to say on this, but yeah, I'm extremely excited for Rick and Morty, and toxic fans suck, obviously, but it seems like they addressed it. Every season they address it little by little, or not little by little. They flat out say it.
They've been very vocal about the fact that they hate that behavior and don't do it. It's bad. You can love things extremely, but don't be that person.
Yes, and all the testament to the great writing is so many writers have landed big gigs after doing Rick and Morty. Like, that's their hardest thing that they're dealing right now, is trying to get those writers back. I don't know the writer's name, and I apologize for not being well researched on this, but one of them is writing the Doctor Strange movie. He's like, so because of the train episode of him handling of him writing and handling the idea of like different realities and different dream sequences and those jokes, he landed the writing job for Doctor Strange too. So
that's amazing. I didn't know that.
They are fully aware of the talent. So yeah, it's like the community movie is not going to happen because they can't get they can't get the actors together, and Rick and Morty can't happen now because they can't get the writers together. So I mean, Dan Harmon is just
the curse of
Feige.
Success, I guess. Yeah. You're just too good.
Like, you're too good. Stop finding too many good people. Just stick to 1 star, and that's it.
Yeah. That's the lesson that you want to take away from this episode, folks.
Yeah.
Mediocrity, okay sometimes.
Yes. You should aim to be the only good person at everything you do. Networking is bullshit. Have people tied to your back and you carry them. Don't work with people on your level.
Actually, Warren, I hate to tell you this, but I have to leave the podcast.
Oh my God.
With that advice, I have to make my leave. I'm sorry, my friend.
Well, it's for the best. You get your cronies, I'll get mine, and then we'll meet one day in the middle.
We'll have like a Anchorman style battle in a parking lot.
Dillon.
All right, so yeah, I'm very excited for it. And coming out in June too. It's not taking years. It's going to be out later this year, which is phenomenal news for all of us. And also, phenomenal news: Invincible, one of our favorite comics of all time, finally got an animated adaptation and is available for consumption on Amazon Prime.
Yes. And they did the kind gesture of giving us 3 episodes right off the bat. Not one at a time. They gave us 3 to really eat it and digest it very quickly. And it seems by design, really. Because if you've read the comic, you have a lot of expectations and you kind of know the tone of it. And the first episode doesn't necessarily get it right. Doesn't necessarily feel like it. It kind of feels like a generic superhero TV show, which Invincible is not by any means. If you have not read it, understand that Invincible is very much a critique on how unrealistic and stupid comics can be at times. So they play into that while also playing the reality of the larger choices superheroes should be making.
And it also it's all of those things, but it is also a love letter to superheroes. It's Robert Kirkman's like how badly he wanted to be a superhero when he was a kid. And that comes through even more so, I think, in the comic than it does in the show, or they're working towards it. Like, I think
towards it,
yeah. The first episode, I'll even admit, I texted you as I was watching it, and I was like, bro, this first episode is not good.
Yeah. You're like, sell.
I am worried. And you were like, calm down. Like, I was, breathing into a paper bag and like slowly crying in the corner. You're like, don't worry. Very soothing tones.
Hey, come on, buddy.
Yeah.
Here's a Twix bar. Enjoy it. Give it a chance.
Basically like coaxing a cat out of a storm drain.
You're hissing at me. Episode 1 wasn't good.
You're like, don't worry, episode 2 gets better. It's okay, buddy. It's okay. Believe in me. And lo and behold, episode 2 and 3 did get a lot better. I was worried, though, because episode 1, it seems that they had taken all of the wrong cues from recent superhero things. It was very dark. It was very moody. It's like Omni-Man in the comic is somebody to be feared, but you still love him in the beginning. Like, he's still a really good father and all that stuff. Like, the turn when you find out spoilers,
don't fully. I mean, they're going to find out by episode 2, but it's really a wonderful event to happen. So I think we should let it happen for them.
Yeah, so I'm just going to say the way that the show portrays him and the way that the comic portrays him are different. He is much more soft in the comic at first, and that is not so evident in the show. In the show, he's like fucking stern. He's like stern papa, and it's like, what's going on, brah?
Right, you're supposed to love him and really care about him, so when the turn does happen, you're like, wait, what's happening? Like, how bad are things going to get now?
Yeah, it's a big shock.
If you have a chance, you should really read it. I was lucky enough that one of my best friends, Kelson Tejada, he gave me the omnibus of Invincible when I was still working at Apple. He was like, you have to read this. And I was like, okay, let's see what this is all about. And I read that whole first omnibus in a night. I mean, it's such a readable comic. It looks beautiful, has its own art design to it, and it plays these tropes. It's almost like you know what's happening, but then it really throws you off your game so quickly. It's really
not
incredible.
Only that, the first 10 issues are a different artist, and then once Otley comes on for the rest of the run, it's just chef's kiss all the way on that, baby. It's amazing. But yeah, no, the comic, and that's one of the reasons why I was worried with the first episode, but looks like they're fixing it in the next episode. It skews the line, and Kirkman did this really well with Walking Dead too. there is definitely gravity to the situations. There's definitely like characters that you care about, stakes that are to be had, but there's still plenty of like love and humor and brevity to be involved with all of it as well.
And there's a great amount of diversity in the voice acting too. I mean, they got the best of the best to do the roles well. They didn't necessarily were like, oh, we have to go with so forth and so on. Like they made the first girlfriend black. You know, like they didn't have to do that, but they chose to make a more diverse casting choice, and they made it even better for it. I really appreciate where Invincible's going.
I think that worked really well. Admittedly, when I was like, "Who is this fucking character?" Because I've read the comic twice now, and I was like, it hasn't been that long, right? Did I miss something? Am I supposed to know who the fuck this is?
Right.
And I was like, oh no, okay, cool. Like, no, they made it okay, I'm fine with this. I just, like, you know, when you're like going back in your back issues and you're just like, I don't...
Like, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they add a new character? Because they have enough characters. I don't need to add a new one.
Yeah,
What's
like,
happening
who the
here?
fuck? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And the animation's really amazing. There are times where it's kind of lazy, where they very much took a still image and floated around like he's flying.
Oh my god, dude! Yeah, I gotta say, there are certain points when they do the action, they do it well. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna give them any flack on that. All the fight sequences have been fantastic.
Their transitions, though, are so lazy.
Yeah, there are sometimes they could really learn a thing or two from anime and just make it a little bit more lifelike. Like, yeah. Sometimes
they take seagulls and take the main character flying, and they just shift them around. You can basically see the mouse cursor click on them and just have them drag and move around instead of having some sort of animation or have the lines fly.
Yeah, when do we have to animate this by? Okay, let's just go into the edit bay and okay, cool. Yeah, they're moving through space now. Hey,
interns, do you have anything to do right now? No? All right, make them fly.
Although I really hope that Invincible head nodding meme when he's talking to Omni-Man becomes a meme. I hope that becomes a meme. So badly. And yes, you are absolutely right. The voice cast is phenomenal. J.K. Simmons killing it as always. We've talked about it before. The lovable voice of the yellow M&M, also a Cthulhu monster, as we clearly stated in a previous episode. Elder God, for all things. Of course, he's J. Jonah Jameson, and now Omni-Man.
Of course.
Then, of course, we've got the vocal stylings of Stephen Yeun, who I admit, I think he does an amazing job. Yes. I just wish he was a little more animated. And I don't know if that was his direction, I don't know if they're trying to keep him a little bit more grounded. But I was hoping that he was going to be a little bit more, I don't know.
Teeny.
Angsty? Yeah, a little bit more, youngish, I guess.
Yeah. I wonder, I mean, I completely agree. Because that's how he reads in the comic book the entire time until he gets older. It's very angsty, very like, why don't I have powers? Like, why can't I handle this? Oh, I want to date Adam Eve, but with my older girlfriend, what do I do?
Yeah.
But I think what Steven brings is he's just a cool guy. Everything he does just reads him just like the fucking coolest
awesome. Guy. And I hope he wins the Oscar for Minari, which I still haven't seen yet. And I probably shouldn't be saying that, seeing as I haven't seen the film. But I've heard, from what I've heard of that performance, he is like devastating. It's just that movie's supposed to make you feel all kinds of emotions. And
I mean, if he doesn't win, give it to Riz Ahmed. Either one of those two in my eyes.
That I did fucking see. Yeah, fucking Sound of Metal is unbelievable. So fucking good. But yeah, let's see. Is there any more geek news that we want to get to before we hop into our Kung Fu adventure?
We should talk real quickly about the Obi-Wan Kenobi cast, but then let's move on to our regularly scheduled programming.
Of course. Yeah, yesterday we got big news on the Obi-Wan Kenobi cast. And you know what? I liked Star Wars, but it was never my thing. And especially with like the prequels and then the new movie, I was just like, ugh. I don't know. Star Wars is cool. I love the idea, but it's not hitting me anywhere that I want it to hit me. And then Mandalorian came out, and I was like, oh, fuck. Great. This is amazing. Yes.
Restored your faith in just natural storytelling besides that of it being a Star Wars property.
Yeah, well, I've been saying for years now that we need to move away from the Skywalkers. Like, I don't know how we can have an entire universe of people and we only focus on this one goddamn family the entire fucking time.
Yeah. The same thing happens every time with them. This is a little boring. Can they do anything different?
Yeah, is there any
more milk?
Is there Yeah, is there any way that we can just spice it up a little more blue milk, please? I just need more blue milk in my life. But yeah, so now, admittedly, we are going to, of course, have the Skywalkers back because Hayden Christensen has announced that he will be coming back to reprise his role as the youngest, angstiest fucking Jedi the world has ever known, Anakin Skywalker.
Yes, to quote Entourage, the greatest show ever created, Hollywood loves a comeback story. So...
Warren, you and I need, and I mean this seriously, we need to do a rewatch of Entourage together as a series. We could make that our other podcast.
I mean, I'm happy to do it. Our other podcast is just us critiquing trash shows. We watch every episode and critique it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think that's
I guess the question I'm wondering is what we would do after Entourage. Blossom, sure. I'm going to say also Blossom. Smallville.
Ooh, God, yeah, that's a rough one to watch. That's a rough one to get through.
And it's long. It's crazy long
it's crazy
for no reason.
Long. And then we could cleanse our palates with Frasier, which is actually phenomenal.
And I've actually never seen it, so.
Oh, dude, Frasier is really, really fucking good.
All right. Well, then we do Cheers first and then Frasier?
No, because Cheers is also incredibly long. And it's good, but it's not as good as Frasier. It's also the whitest show that's ever existed.
Yeah. Well, anywho.
Yeah, we've gone off on a tangent here. I'm sorry. So Obi-Wan.
It looks cast looks
amazing
good.
Cast.
Yes.
Yeah. Fucking
so we'll see what happens. Yes.
So, is there anybody who you're particularly excited to see? I can't wait to see Ewan McGregor actually have a chance to do that role without George fucking it up.
I agree. I'm very excited for that. And Ewan's a fantastic actor. The guy can't miss. I'm excited to see Joel Edgerton because he did that weird monster movie with Will Smith. And he is so fantastic with practical makeup on and acting. He did a whole orc makeup and still had a masterful performance. So I'm very excited to see if they do that again with him in some sort of way.
Apparently he might be reprising his role as a regular human because he's playing Uncle Ben.
Oh, right. Oh.
Which
well, hopefully he gets disfigured. Hopefully he gets
I don't know
fucked
how
up.
the fuck he's going to factor into the story. It's not like Uncle Ben had anything to do except sell rice.
Right. He's going to talk to Obi-Wan.
Moisture converters.
Yeah.
I am really the most intriguing casting to me was one of the Safdie brothers.
Yes, Ben Safdie. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you got acting chops? I guess that video with Adam Sandler really launched his career.
Well, I mean, don't forget that he is in Good Time, and he plays the deaf brother.
Oh my God. Duh. Fucking incredible in that. Yeah. Okay.
So the kid can act, and obviously he comes from a very talented family because Good Time and Uncut Gems are some of the best, like, low-budget indie films that have come out in a long time.
No question.
Yeah, they are fucking gritty and grim, and it's great. So I'm excited for Obi-Wan, and it's good to finally know that Disney Plus is actively starting to get some like good shit. Like, don't get me wrong, it's fun to watch old Disney movies, but it's not like Disney Plus has really been doing anything spectacular. But WandaVision and Mandalorian, once they start increasing this stable of really fucking good shows, we're there. And we're not going to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier yet because we want to give it a little bit more time. Before we kind of dive in and review it. But there is something that we desperately want to review, and that is Invincible Armor.
Woo-hoo! So for everyone, this is a segment where we go and watch Wu-Tang Collection on YouTube. We watch classic kung fu films, and we enjoy them for everything they offer. And this time we chose Invincible Armor.
Yes, if you are not a big fan of kung fu films or never really spent too much time with them, we highly encourage you to look up the Wu-Tang Collection and reacquaint yourself with some of the most ridiculous but fun films that have ever existed. And Invincible Armor falls into that category so goddamn hard.
Yeah, I mean, it had, 8.4 or like 11 million views on it? So, this must be an iconic kung fu film that people love.
Well, I think especially with okay, so essentially let's do the breakdown of what the film is, and then probably talk about how fucking Quentin Tarantino ripped off the look for Pai Mei from three of these fucking characters.
These three brothers who almost, it seems like the production forgot who was playing which brother, so they just switched them in to play that.
Dude, and so did I. Watching this movie is so difficult because every character, and I don't mean this in a racist way, all the costumes are almost identical too.
The wigs are the same, the costumes are the same.
It's literally a movie of people wearing almost the identical same clothing, talking about the same things in the same setting. So it is so fucking hard to keep track of who is double crossing who in this goddamn movie. And the wigs are impeccable.
The plot is basically, well, it's not basically, because it gets very confusing, as kung fu films always do.
Oh yeah, we should also say that it's called Invincible Armor, but the Invincible Armor doesn't come up for a large portion of the movie.
And it's called Iron Armor too. It's not even called Invincible Armor in the movie. So like
semantics.
At some point they were like, well, what he gets is invincible, but essentially a man gets framed for a murder. And then he tries to clears his name and avenge him. Along the way, he meets a man who wants to bring him in, while another master wants to kill his brother finally in the mix of all of this. And then along the way, they learn about iron armor and how to defeat it. And it so happens the final boss has that. And
yes, of course, as he would. And they defeat it with, what is it? Is it the Death Finger or the...
It's the Iron Finger.
The Iron Finger? Yeah, they didn't even... Yeah, I wanted to make it better than it was. Yeah.
Yes. But then, all right, so that's the plot. You go ahead. You go first.
Well, so the movie opens with this very cool 5-minute intro talking about Invincible Armor, or the Iron Armor. Yes. And it gives you this phenomenal montage of this master who we have to assume becomes one of the old men later on in the movie, because it's not 100% explained who the person doing the training in the first 5 minutes of the movie are, but it gives you this great breakdown of like what kung fu is, the tiger fist, why Invincible Armor is powerful, and you think that this whole movie is just going to be armor on armor action. After the first 5 minutes, though, we don't hear about Invincible Armor until like the 40-minute mark. Like the movie is just like, remember that thing that we were talking about in the beginning? Fuck that. No, nobody cares.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Come back to it later. Give us 30 minutes. We'll come back to it. We promise. We promise.
Yeah.
We promise.
So what we need to do is we need to establish like rivalries for some reason. I am still not 100% sure. I think somebody stole the armor or the techniques.
So there's 3 brothers, and each one is a master in their own right, and they have a rivalry with each other. And one holds a public office, one has a kung fu school, and one is the main villain who stole the technique.
Okay. That makes more sense. Keep in mind, once again, everybody, all of these actors wear identical clothes. The
exact same.
And have the identical wigs and facial feature and facial hair. So there's literally a scene where all 3 of them are interacting and you have no idea who is who. It is so amazing.
It's well, so essentially, the main hero, Chao, who you don't even know if he's the main hero. You're introduced to a different guy who seems like the main hero initially, and he
I know the switches.
He kills Chao's general, and then Chao gets framed for the murder. And along the way of trying to clear his name, he bumps into a young boy who's defending his sister from this really gross guy trying to pick her up.
And we should also say that this kid is like 15 years old, but his sister is 67.
And she doesn't speak ever. You just see her face. Either she's smiling like flirtatiously or she's frowning very angrily.
Yeah, and the curly cues on the side of her head are just like ominous warnings of what's to come.
So this guy's trying to pick her up like, oh, I'm going to take your sister home. And the brother says, stop, wait. If you can knock me off my feet after punching me 10 times, you can have her. And the main character, Chao, is drinking water watching this. So, of course, the son or the brother reveals that he has the iron armor technique and gets punched 10 times and sends the guy back. And then the hero, Chao, jumps in to save the day. I was hoping he was going to be like, now let me try. And then he punches him 10 times.
Yeah, no, what would have made sense? The thing is, they make Chao very powerful right from the get-go. Like, he is, before we, like, once again, we find about Invincible Armor in the beginning of the movie, and then it's Chao's story for the most part, as he, gets framed for a murder, and then has to escape from that framing. But they give him ample scenes where he beats the shit out of plenty of people, and it seems like...
Everyone.
He doesn't need Invincible Armor. It seems like he's doing pretty good. Like it seems like he's doing fine. on his own.
And even when he learns it, he doesn't even use it. There's a certain part
No.
where like it's so like the brother doing like hit me 10 times to showcase the armor. There's the same scene of that happens later on when Chao is in cuffs. This guy wants to kill him. He's like, if you can kill me in 10 slashes, you can take me to jail. If not, I'm set free. And he agrees to it. But the 10 slashes he's dodging the entire time, and the slashes are well past 10. And then they'll finish and be like, that's 9. Now you get one more chance. And he'll swing 50 more times. And then he'll be like, okay, I win. So it's like, what? You didn't even use the armor, and you didn't even agree to the rules you set up.
Well, one of my favorite aspects of this movie, besides the fact that it does have some phenomenal action, I will admit that the fights are really nicely choreographed. Mm-hmm. It has the lowest props budget I have ever seen in any kung fu film. I swear to Christ, the swords look like they are made out of tinfoil. That is... Time. Oh my God. There is a scene where they literally pull out a sword, and it's wood that's been painted. And it is so amazing. It's so... There's another scene early on in the beginning. Remember when he's getting hit with the iron balls? And they're clearly like just balloons with like tape on them?
And they have to show it hitting his balls to prove that he truly has invincible armor.
Oh, well, also, let's... As the film progresses, we of course have some great fighting scenes. We get to learn more about these brothers, but we don't learn anything at all. But then it leads to the big climactic battle. Yes. Where one of my favorite still images from the shot is just Chao fucking grabbing a guy's balls.
Yes. But they don't want to show him grabbing the ball, so they cut to Marbles leaving the frame, so as to show that the master has so much control of his body, he can retract his balls whenever he wants to. So he uses it as a trap. He showed us earlier in a fight to his brother to trick him into trying to grab his balls. He can trap his hand and squeeze his head to death. So then... Finally, how he defeats him is his balls are his weak point. So, like,
shocking, right? What are the chances that they would be a weak point on a man? Who would have ever guessed?
Other invincible armor masters chose to make their balls invincible, but he chose to leave them, dangling there innocently. Yeah.
He decided, he's like, you know what? One, I want to have kids someday. I can't have them up inside me all the time. It's bad. It's really bad. They dangle for a reason. It's because of air temp, and I want to make sure. My doctor told me I need to wear boxer briefs.
It's a whole thing. I still want to have kids one day.
Yeah, invincible armor or not, I want to have children. So.
Right. So when Chao finally gets his balls and squeezes them, they show his exploding balls with an egg exploding in his hand to showcase that he did it. And they show that not once but twice to make sure that you as a viewer know that he busted up both his balls.
What I love about it is they were like, look, we don't know if you fully understood the severity of the injury. So let's just hold on. Wait, I'm a doctor. Okay, let me let you know that his balls, not just one but two, have been severely injured.
And just so you didn't know, his balls went back into his body, so that's why he was unable to hurt him. But now that he's suddenly the daughter of the man he killed and is coming for revenge, that you as an audience member have no idea what they're talking about, has surprise kicked him, his balls have gone back down into Chao's hand. And now he can explode them.
Of course. I mean, as balls do, right?
Yeah. The movie chooses to do the longest takes for no reason, and then the shortest cuts that make no sense to the next thing. They'll show them running around a house for 20 minutes, but then they'll jump cut from...
Oh, dude, you have no... I got some serious Kung Pao Enter the Fist vibes with this movie. There was just there are multiple scenes in this film where they're just people walking or running, and you're like, is this necessary?
Yeah. Explain to us who the three brothers are.
Yeah,
explain to me why the daughter is the son of the iron armor inventor.
Yeah, is there a reason we're doing the? I would love to know more about these masters of testicular torsion. I am all invested in on that. But you know what? I've seen enough of the countryside. I'm good.
Please fine. Stop. Also, their running isn't cool at all. It's not even let's get this cool action shot. They're kind of running like this, very straight back, and then just chest moving forward.
They've got the duck waddle going on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Final thoughts
I do have
on
to say,
Armor?
I would recommend Invincible Armor to anyone. I had a fucking blast watching this movie. You should watch this movie for the wigs and the props alone.
Oh my god, their foreheads get bigger with every scene.
It is so fucking amazing. Yeah, we didn't even take time to talk about how Chao's wig is so bad that it gives him a different face. Like, it gives him the face of like a Cro-Magnon man because it's so poorly put on. It gives him the weirdest looking brow you've ever. It looks like every scene he just looks more and more deformed. It's fucking. God. So yeah, would you recommend Invincible Armor to our listeners?
Yes, if you're looking for a movie to watch with friends and just kind of laugh at and have a good time, please check out Invincible Armor.
Yeah, I can't recommend this enough. This is definitely one of my favorite Wu-Tang Collections one we've watched so far, even if it is completely unintelligible. The level of bad props, bad wigs, and ball grabbing makes it a top 10 so far in the Wu-Tang Collection for me.
Yeah, no other kung fu film makes ball grabbing part of the plot. They'll do it as like a fight move or like a showcase of you hurting them, but it's centralized. The only way to beat him is by exploding his balls.
Yeah,
so for that alone...
Yeah, it's the linchpin to their plan. Like
right.
Grabbing that man's testicles and exploding them is the plot. And that, if that's not enough for you, we can't be friends.
Yeah, please.
Oh, fuck. Oh, God, yeah. That movie is amazing. That's so good. All right, so do you want to talk about Toy Galaxy next, or do you want to talk about Irredeemable?
Let's go Toy Galaxy. I think that's... so that was my recommendation to Dillon. It's a YouTube channel called Toy Galaxy, and it highlights shows from, let's say, the 80s to the 90s that either had a short run or a long run, and then highlights the toys that came out of it. A lot of niche shows you'd think that they wouldn't talk about, they definitely cover. They cover things as big as Street Sharks. It's things as small as Biker Mice from Mars, and they really highlight how the shows either stayed around or kind of went away.
Yeah, thank you so much for recommending this channel to me.
Yes.
So it's very much in the same vein. If listeners, if you've watched or seen on Netflix The Toys That Made Us, it's like I can't say it's the spiritual successor to that because this channel's been around for 5 years now, so it's been out much longer than that show on Netflix has been out. And this is why I love YouTube. This is the reason why YouTube is important to me, because it's people like the creators at Toy Galaxy that make me love the platform, for all of its stupid drama and infighting and all that awful shit. When you have people who genuinely care about a subject and pour clearly hours and hours and years of their life into it, it shows. And that's exactly what Toy Galaxy is. I love it. Like, thank you so much for recommending it.
You're very welcome.
Hats off to them for making it. I went back to their original videos, and when it first started out, it was just a toy review YouTube channel. They would get a new toy, they would talk about the pros and the cons, but as the channel's gone on over years, they've slowly morphed, and now it's turned into like these beautiful little time capsules of pop culture. And it's so wonderful. Yeah, I watched the videos about Street Sharks, and I was just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm a fucking 9-year-old again. This is so amazing. Not only that, but in each of those historical ones, they pull old commercials from the 80s and 90s, and they are literal gateways into your childhood.
Yes.
Like, I remember seeing these commercials, and seeing them again as an adult makes you forget that the world is an awful, scary place.
Big time.
Like,
and it also does a great thing of being like, if you do miss these shows, hey, just check them out on YouTube. Like, it makes it very aware of like, hey, we were with you, we want to watch it too, and know that you can watch again. You can keep living your childhood fantasy. It's just, the show's like your best friend, being like, if you're into what I'm into, let's hang out and watch all this great stuff and enjoy these toys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I watched a ton of their videos, and the thing that I'm always taken with, one, the level of research that they put into each of these videos is very impressive. Like, it is seriously impressive to see the level and lengths that they go to find out the information, whether or not it's canonical, at the time periods at which these took place. All of that stuff kind of comes into these history lessons about a property that you probably haven't thought about since you were like 10 years old.
Right. Or a property that only lasted one season. So it's like 6 months of your life as a kid. Like, how would you ever remember those things? And they pull everything that you could possibly want. Or they might even give you that conclusion from a show that you didn't think was even possible anymore. What were some of the things that you had to look up, like, from your past you wanted to hear about?
Well, Street Sharks was one of the big ones. And then I forgot, in the Street Sharks, I forgot that there was a dinosaur fucking crossover with that. I was like, holy
Right.
shit, that's right. Oh my fucking God, that existed. I was like, oh my God. They had a great video about Magic the Gathering, which I love. They had a wonderful video about I wanted this toy so badly when I was a kid. It was the bug candy maker.
Oh, yeah, of
Creepy
course.
crawlies.
Crawlers? Yeah.
I wanted that fucking thing so much as a kid, but I never asked for it. It was always one of those toys that I was just like, I don't know. Even as a small child, I was very practical. I was like, I don't know if I want to make this. And,
how often will I use it? Like, what's the cleanup like on this thing?
I don't know if I have the time, but watching that video, I just it just made me feel like a kid again.
Yeah.
And that was so good. And to find out, how Hasbro or Mattel or any of these other toy companies kind of had the idea to make these toys come into existence. Hint, hint, 9 times out of 10, it was a cartoon to sell toys to children.
And it worked.
And it worked brilliantly. And I mean, that's one of their best videos, one of their most viewed videos on their page is the Why Did Saturday Morning Cartoons Die? And that video is amazing. It's this beautiful look at the 60s to the late 2000s as cartoons went from being this thing that were aimed at children and was just fun to like this marketing juggernaut. And like all of the franchises that we know today, like He-Man and Transformers and Ninja Turtles and Street Shark and all these things, they were just these vehicles for these toy companies to sell shit to you.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Did it work?
Yeah, it worked like a charm. And the crazy thing is, it still has such impact now because the biggest properties that are currently out on the market for marketability are these brands. Brands that really resonated with kids, whether or not they were brainwashed to buy the toys when they were younger or not. Those memories stick with you.
Sure does. Look at Pokemon. Pokemon is going to last so many generations because it's going to stick with every generation that plays it through the games and then through the toys and through whatever else. I mean, no one better in my eyes does it and did it better than Pokemon.
Yes, I think
it's not. Yeah. It's still around now. A lot of the shows they covered end after a few seasons. Pokemon just will not go away.
And not only that, the crazy thing is Pokemon has changed almost zero, like not even one iota. The game is basically the same. Obviously, there are different pocket monsters, of course. There are different Pokemon every new game, but the core of what it is exactly the same. I mean, fuck, Ash is still around. That motherfucker's got to be, what, 40?
I don't know. He's got superhuman strength. That guy can't lose. He's something special.
Well, yeah, we know he's impervious to electricity because Pikachu back in the day used to fuck his ass up. But he was okay with it. So.
Well, I'm really glad you loved it. I fell in love with it. I went down a deep rabbit hole and started watching everything. I started testing, being like, oh, I remember this show growing up. Do you have a Pirates of Blackwater video? And sure enough, they did. Like, no one knows about that show.
No stone left unturned.
It's a truly amazing, it's truly a huge love letter. And the backdrop of all the toys that the host is showcasing is just like a big old brag, being like,
yeah, dude.
Oh, I have everything you could ever want. So.
Yeah, he's flexing on him. He's flexing on him hard. Like, that's a geek flex if I've ever seen one. Just like, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. But yeah, thank you so much for recommending it to me. If you are a fan of nostalgia or toys in any way, we can't recommend Toy Galaxy enough. Please go watch it on YouTube at Toy Galaxy. For our final thing that we're going to talk about on this episode, it is a comic that I have loved for years now, and I never thought got the recognition that it deserved.
Okay.
And with Invincible coming out and with the Snyder Cut, I was like, it's a perfect time to talk about Irredeemable.
Yes.
The greatest example of a bad Superman story that you can tell, although it's not Superman, quote unquote. It is the Plutonian. That is who is in Irredeemable. And then, Warren, why don't you give a little bit more of an explanation as to what Irredeemable is?
So Irredeemable starts an apocalyptic point where this story's Superman, the Plutonian, has gone rogue and started just killing superheroes. It actually begins with him killing the equivalent of Batman in this universe. And you're not really sure what happened or what went wrong. And you slowly learn as time goes on. And then once you learn that, it really just opens up what's going to happen next. You see how strong he is and how unbeatable he is, but also it's just these intangibles that begin to play in stopping Superman from killing you. And what with The Boys being out and the Snyder Cut showing evil Superman and Invincible, This is such an interesting take on what evil Superman would be. Homelander in The Boys is stopped due to society, and he's forced to kind of fit in, and he's sociopathic in a way. Whereas Plutonian has absolute power and has absolutely no care at all. He'll just tear things apart and do truly horrendous things. And just when you think the story is trapped in a corner of like, okay, Plutonian's so hard to beat, what's going to happen next? It really brings on these new dimensions that are so fun. You have aliens that come in, or you have maybe he has a kryptonite level thing that can stop him. Maybe there was a love story that went wrong that can affect him. And what's beautiful about the Irredeemable is it plays on comic book stories you already know and heroes you already know. So giving the fact that you already know that blueprint, the story can just continue as normal without giving you all this extra exposition as to explain who these are and what they're doing. It's very much like you know who these people are and just enjoy this ridiculous story.
Well, the amazing thing is that this story was written by Mark Waid, arguably the best Superman writer that's ever existed. He's the person who wrote Kingdom Come. He's written plenty of other amazing things at Marvel and DC. But he knew that this story couldn't have been done at either of those houses. He knew that they would never allow him to tell this story at DC or Marvel. So he approached Boom with the idea, and that's how this, Irredeemable came into existence. And you're absolutely right. This is really a comic book for other comic book fans. I'm not going to say that it's not accessible for people who don't read comics, but this is a real love letter and a deconstruction of the superhero genre. Just the same way that Invincible is a love letter to the idea of superheroes and the desire of young children to want to be superheroes. This is a deconstruction of that idea that what if you gave a truly irredeemable person unlimited power? And also how they would change and grow with that power. Because you can honestly sympathize with the Plutonian because he's so well written. There are things that happen in Plutonian's life that make you understand why he has turned into the monster that he has turned into. Not that it's acceptable.
No, by no means, but you understand what that cracking point happened. I mean, essentially, everyone treated him like a live grenade. They never knew when it was going to go off, so he always felt like he was never accepted. He could never be seen, could never lose control. And when you constantly have that pressure, you eventually crack. So it does such a good job. To the deconstruction point you made, the comic does a point to even explaining what Superman's powers is on a physics standpoint, or metaphysics, really. Like, it does a certain point later on when the Lex Luthor equivalent to... I think I got to talk about this first. It deconstructs why supervillains go after the heroes. And it basically, the supervillain is in love with the superhero. They're so obsessed with them, and they're so equivalent that then when it does such a good job of that, like, no, this is what it is. It's a romance that they're in, and when they can finally express that romance, they can eventually reach the new heightened level of the relationship that you never get in a regular comic book.
Yeah, Batman's never going to fuck the Joker, and Lex Luthor's never going to fuck Superman, although they should. I would. Yes. I approve of it.
They won't on Marvel, but if you go to your fan-made sites, they do it a whole bunch.
Yeah. I mean, slash fiction is a real deal. It's real. I know about it.
But yeah, quickly, as they deconstruct Superman's power to explain how it's even possible. And it's like, wow, this guy really understands Superman to a level, and the Irredeemable is a fucking masterpiece, except for the drawing style. It's a little derpy is how I'll describe it.
So yeah, I completely agree that sadly, when you're not working on necessarily a top studio, and Boom is by no means a top studio. They do have properties that are well loved, like Bloodshot and a couple of others. The level of quality you're going to get out of the art is maybe not going to be the same, and it does hinder it. I will say that's the same reason why The Boys is very hard to read. The storytelling is amazing. Garth Ennis is a genius, but looking at the photos can be just a real slog. I will say that it gets better as the series goes on. The art style definitely gets cleaner and nicer to look at. But the story is so good, I can look past all of that predominantly because Mark Waid really crafts something that any comic book fan, and especially any superhero comic book fan, needs to dive into because it is a really, really good deconstruction and love letter to the genre.
Yes. Comic books they're tied down to the fact that they have to sell these to kids in some way, or they're tied to the fact that they have to be politically accessible. And this comic book does not care about that at all, and really unleashes these characters to really reach their full potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you guys think that the Homelander does bad shit, well, no. Plutonian takes it to a whole nother level. And the thing is, I think in some regards, people would think that it's excessive. It doesn't necessarily feel that way. It feels kind of very grounded in the fact that he is that powerful. It would be that quick. It would be that just instantaneous.
It's true to the
merciless.
character.
Yeah.
It's not like a writer just living out their fetishes on the page. It's the character would do these things given that the circumstances, but this is the character in their own reality.
Yeah. It's incredibly grounded while also being incredibly over the top. It's such a good book, and I'm so glad that you finally got to experience it.
Thank you so much.
There is also a follow-up to this, which follows one of Plutonian's other ex-villains as he tries to combat Plutonian, and that is well worth a read as well after you finish Irredeemable.
So I finished Irredeemable, and I started reading the follow-up. I got maybe 3 in, and it was funny, the first one. Like, he has a sidekick named Jailbait, and he's like, he won't sleep with her until she becomes of age. And he's already been sleeping with her this entire time, but now because he wants to be a hero, he's no longer going to do that. Very funny joke. But the artwork has become even derpier that I'm going to probably pass on this.
That's okay. It's not as good as Irredeemable, but it is a great follow-up. For any of our listeners, if you love this story, it continues. It gets more information. You find out even more about the Plutonian. So highly recommend that as well. But yeah, we've hit another hour, my friend.
Ooh,
can you believe it?
By.
It goes by so fast. It's so quick. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. But, so we've done Yeah, But Is It Good with High Fidelity. We just did a Wu-Tang Collection, and you know what time it is now? It is time for Why Did We Watch This?
Oh, great.
For next episode, I was going through my head. I was trying to figure out what awful film I wanted to show to Warren. And I was just like, I mean, there's so many. I've got like this big back catalog.
How wonderful. Big back catalog. Great.
It's just like this huge back catalog. It's so fucking big. Like, oh my God. It's so big. But I wanted to really tap into something that was a big cultural event about a year ago. Something that destroyed me mentally when I saw the trailer for it and broke me as a person when I watched it.
Oh God, what can this be?
And that is 2019's Cats.
Oh my God, we're watching Cats.
We are definitely going to be watching arguably the worst musical of all time, rendered in the worst possible way. I swore to myself I would never watch this movie again, but now that I have somebody else to endure it with, I actually think I might potentially be able to enjoy it this time around.
Yeah, I didn't think I would ever need to watch this movie.
Oh, so you don't need to watch it.
Yeah.
We're going to watch it.
I have to watch it now. Great, I'm forced to.
We're going to watch it because
Even
I'm forcing
better.
it on you.
All right, man. I can't wait to watch this. Who knows? Maybe I create a Furiosa afterwards, and I find a dimension of my life I didn't know I had.
So Furiosa is the character from Fury Road.
No, that's what I mean. I'm gonna chop my arm off from watching this and shave my head.
I thought you wanted to say you were gonna make a persona.
No. I'm gonna maim myself. Dude, how bad this is.
Yeah, just gnaw your arm off in the middle of watching it. Oh, God, I need to stop. I will say this. The movie is so memeable, though. Like, I do genuinely think, like, watching it alone, very bad. But watching it with a friend, I think we're going to meme on it so hard, it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be good content. Yeah. All right. Well, tune in for that, guys. It's going to be fun.
So, yeah, that'll be our next episode. And what are your recommendations for next week?
My recommendation to you is one of my most listened to and favorite podcast of all time right now. It's called Blank Check with Griffin and David. It's Griffin Newman, an actor, and David Sims, a writer for The Atlantic, a critic for The Atlantic, I believe. He wrote for different newspapers as time has gone on, and they critique directors' successes and failures and how they went from a low-budget film to eventually getting blank checks from major studios, and sees what happens to their careers. And they start off their collection with Star Wars, and then they go on to M. Night Shyamalan, they do the Wachowskis, and they just finished doing some Disney movies. So check it out.
This sounds fucking unbelievable. I am pissed at myself that I've never heard of this show. Like,
it's really hilarious.
But you know what? This is the reason why I love doing this, because I probably would have potentially never heard of this podcast, right? Maybe it would have come across my path, maybe it wouldn't. But you know what? That's why I've got you, an amazing friend who knows my taste and what I like.
Yeah, I do nice things to you. Like, I give you great podcasts and great YouTube shows, and you give me cats. You know, that's just the relationship that we're in.
That's what we have. It's the abuse that you enjoy.
So what's your recommendation for me, Dillon?
So for me, I've been watching the QAnon documentary that's been on HBO, and it's been very entertaining. But we're not going to watch that. I'm not going to recommend that to anyone. It's too depressing. There is a very good film, a documentary that came out last year that I don't think enough people were talking about, and it's called Feels Good Man. It's all about the guy who created Pepe the Frog, and how that art, which was originally this very funny, kind of really niche, weird comic, turned into propaganda for the alt-right.
Yeah.
But it is this super uplifting, really well done documentary that has some beautiful animations in it. And I can't wait to talk to you about it, because I don't know anybody else who's seen it.
Well, I can't wait to watch it, because it is very baffling, being like, how did Pepe the Frog become the alt-right mascot? It's like, this is a very cheerful and happy looking frog. How did this happen? So yes, I'm excited to watch this.
It's definitely one of the kind of like weirdest stories, and just like I said, it's an interesting documentary that not enough people are talking about, so I wanted to share it with you.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait.
Yeah, that is amazing. Well, that is it, guys and girls, for another episode of Pop Culture Party People. Thank you so much for listening. We are so glad to have you here. If you enjoyed this episode, please recommend it to people. Rate us on iTunes. It's always super fucking helpful. Give us likes and comments on YouTube, and when we post on social media. Like, we definitely want to hear from you. It's really important that you reach out to us so that we can talk about stuff that you want to talk about, and that we can build a larger audience with you. That's what we desperately want to do. Apart from that, is there anything you'd like to plug before we head out, Warren?
Please check me out on my Twitch at Show Me the Chaos, my YouTube channel at Show Me the Chaos, and my Instagram at Chao.
Awesome. You can find me at all_the_birds at Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. Now, you can also find me on YouTube at Unlimited Free Time, and that is it. Please like, subscribe, and follow if you can. Until next time, we are the Pop Culture Party People. We put the cult in pop culture. Have a great rest of your night.
Bye.
Bye.